Saying that video games are bad for society and turn our teens into antisocial sadists is almost as condescending as believing that guns kill people. Video games in themselves do not turn people into belligerent, isolated members of society, just like having one drink won't make you an alcoholic and having fast food every so often won't make you obese. The true problem that lies within our present society is lack of awareness, advocacy, and agency for those suffering from and living with mental illness. The research on the specific controversial topic has shown to be quite polarising in the past, with the reliance of outliers on making their standpoint. On one hand, there is research that continues to find that violent video games play a negligible role in societal violence. But then there is also research that has in fact proven that playing and exposure to video games actually improves cognitive function and development. So which one is the right side? Or more appropriately, which media myth needs to be busted? The emergence of popular hyper-realistic violent video games such as Call of Duty, Gears of War, and Grand Theft Auto have sparked what some refer to as a moral panic. According to Stanley Cohen, a moral panic occurs when a conditioned person or group of persons emerges to become defined as a threat to societal values and interests. This decontextualized view of the media content results in a moral panic, whereby the supposed threat is a result of correlation, not causation. Essentially, all it takes is one overly concerned, undereducated member of society to spark an outcry. Either that or the power of the media to misinform or misinterpret findings from relevant studies. A prime example of this is from an article released from The Australian with the title "A Spate of Random Cruel Murders Committed by Teens, Coincidence or a Sign?" This article tells the unfortunately true tale of a young, isolated boy bordering on the brink of mental retardation that finds solace from the turbulent home life and harrowing bullies at school in hyper-realistic violent video games. This teen befriended another social outcast of such, and the two concocted a plan to kill an innocent elderly woman, just like in the games that they play. At the trial for the murder, it was uncovered that the teen had lost the ability to distinguish between reality and the fantasy world he so frequently immersed himself into, thus resulting in the media deeming all who played the game of similar mindset. As harrowing as this case is, it is the absolute definition of an anomaly, and not a fair and accurate representation of the effects of video games on the general gaming community. Media effects and moral panics target selectively. In the case of a majority of opinion pieces and social commentary, they pinpoint male teens as the predominant cause of concern for antisocial behaviour induced by violent video games. When in reality, the average age of the Australian gamer is 33 years old, with the percentage of gamers over the age of 18 at a whopping 78%, which all but shatters the preconceived notion that the media defines gamers as antisocial teens. Research from the Hanover Medical School have concluded that people who play violent video games can be desensitized towards emotional stimuli and show decreased empathy and increased aggression. However, this is only based off short-term effect of playing either right before or right after the study. However, the often targeted introverted members of society, who are supposedly the ones who benefit from cognitive effects of video games. Lazaro proposes that since introverts are so sensitive to the rewards of mental activity, which gaming does provide, doing these activities in online social settings can create new positive associations for introverts about social experience, alluding to the conclusion that interactive video games, which allow for ambient sociability, result in introverts feeling more comfortable with social interaction by building upon pro-social emotions and social connectivity. Studies from the University of Wisconsin have concluded that video games do in fact change your brain, however not in the way that the media will have you think. Playing video games changes the brain's physical structure the same way as do learning to read, playing the piano, or navigating using a map. Much like exercise can build muscle, the powerful combination of concentration and rewarding surges of neurotransmitters, such as dopamine, strengthen neural circuits that can build the brain. So is playing video games really all that bad for you? Albeit excessive exposure and consumption of violent, volatile video games in which the aim of the game revolves around warfare and violence have been proven to affect levels of aggression avid players are susceptible to. Findings from a study utilising the general aggression model suggest that both playing violent video games offline and online compared to playing neutral video games does increase aggression. However, this is not a long-term effect. The stigma surrounding video games and their cognitive effects is still very much intact. More definitive research is required to be able to determine whether or not video games are truly bad for you. However, from the research that is already readily available, it is fair to assume that violent video games do not induce long-term permanent cognitive changes to players. Any fluctuations regarding to empathy and volatile nature are only present for a short period of time.